Hi everyone, welcome back to Witches of the Moon. I'm your Friday hostess, Natalie, and this is my guest host, Dude. You may also see my guest host, Bo, pop up here now and then, but here we are nonetheless. Now, I do have some dragon's blood incense going on, so if you guys see a little floaty around me, that's probably all it is. I'm trying to kind of clear out some air. I've been sick with the flu, and I'm trying to clean out the air in my household so I don't pass it on to anybody else. To be honest with you, I've been wearing masks, but since I am taking today off and I am home, I've been recording all of the remaining videos for the season. I've been careful to change my shirt so that since you guys don't wonder what the heck's going on with me wearing the same shirt in all my videos. Ah, there's Bo. Told you he wouldn't be able to keep his fat nose out of the camera. In any case, this week's topic is clairaudition, clairvoyance, psychic sensitivity, and so on and so forth. Now, a lot of people are familiar with the term clairvoyant, but they don't really know what that means. They typically just know that it means somebody who is able to perceive things. And clairvoyance means the ability to perceive things beyond normal perception, and that differs from like clairaudition. In terms of clairaudition is people who are able to hear things that are no longer there. So these are people who are hearing sounds, conversations. They can hear things that have happened in the past in a certain place and can pick up on those things. They're able to receive visions auditorily, in terms of what we would call a vision, like you see things that are not there. But I want to make a clear distinction, because there are many mental disorders that have hallucinations, auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations, and there is a distinction between those and these, okay? When a person is clairaudition, it's very specific. It's not, it happens all the time and it's inexplicable. It's when they go in someplace, they can clearly hear conversations that are occurring or have occurred in that space at some other point in time. So these are people who have really strong psychic abilities. For me, the way my abilities have always worked is it tends to be related to smell and a certain sensitivity. I have been called a sensitive before by other people, which is how I learned what it was that I was experiencing. Because when I was very young, I could not explain these things. Now, I want to make another distinction between clairaudition and being a medium. A medium is a person who can see those who have passed on that are in spirit form and communicate directly with those people and can serve as a conduit between the living and the dead. That is vastly different than clairaudition. Clairaudition is when they can perceive things that have already occurred. Mediumship means that they are in communication with someone who is there in a spiritual form and can communicate back and forth or act as a conduit back and forth. So that's also an important distinction to make. Now, when you are a sensitive, what I have been told that means, or what I learned that the term psychic sensitive means, is that you can walk into a space and you get a certain feel of the space. You can sense things that have happened without specifically seeing or hearing them occur. You just kind of know. It's almost like it appears in your mind, but it's not a vision, like you don't see it happening in front of you. It's kind of you sort of know what's gone on there, or you get a feel for something, whether it's good or bad. For example, my husband's aunt used to own one of the oldest homes in El Paso. And the first time that I ever went to this house, we're walking, it has a long, steep walkway of steps up, and then they've got the two little sleeping Mexicans on either side. And as I'm walking up the steps to this house, this feeling is just getting heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. And I'm just like, whoa. You know, we're standing outside the front door, and I'm just like, whoa. And my husband's like, what's the matter? And I'm like, you don't feel that? I mean, it was just such a presence. It wasn't a negative presence, and it wasn't malicious or anything like that. It was just definitely there. you could feel the presence of something, more than one something there. And I was just like, wow, how can you not feel that? And so my husband's like, oh, everybody says that, everybody talks about that. This place is old, and he just kind of chalked it up to that. But man, I can tell you. And so going into the house, it was a little who. Sometimes I have to step out. Well, the family doesn't own the home anymore. Sadly, it's been sold outside of the family, which would make my poor husband's aunt roll over in her grave because she bought that house for her mother. But one of the things that I can tell you about this house is that other people have actually seen manifestations of spirits there without even realizing that's what they saw. So, and also realizing that that's what they saw. Some people knew what they were saying. Other people just thought they were saying a person, and they asked, who is this person? And in any case, one of the experiences I had being very sensitive in this house is I wanted a tour of the house because it's very, very old. It's like 1800s type old. So I was like, oh, I'd really like to see the house. So my husband's cousin, who was living in the house and caring for it at the time, said, sure, come on, I'll take you around. And we go upstairs, and the upstairs is very narrow. The staircase is very narrow, and it was very small upstairs, but smaller upstairs than it was down. But it had a bathroom, a bedroom, a bedroom, and then a bedroom here. And we go into this, I look in the bathroom, we go into this bedroom, no biggie, this bedroom, no biggie. I go into this back bedroom here. And as soon as I walked in, it was as if somebody put their hands against me and pushed me back. And it wasn't a shove, it wasn't a, fuck you, get out kind of shove. It was just a gentle, like, stop. And I told my husband's cousin, I'm not walking any further into this room. And she said, well, what do you mean? And I said, I'm not allowed here. I'm not wanted in here. I'm being viewed as kind of an interloper, I guess. And she's like, because I could just tell that was the sensation that, hey, I don't know you. This is my space. You're not, this is private. And I said, this is somebody else's private space. And she kind of gives me this funny look, and she's like, well, this is my room. And I said, yes, but this is somebody else's space too. And I'm not family. I'm family, but I'm not family. I'm the white girl, so I'm not supposed to be in here. And she looks at me and she goes, well, this was my great grandmother's room. And I said, well, Alejandra does not want me in here. This is her space. She sees this as her personal space. I'm going to respect that, and I'm going to step back. And I didn't have a problem in the house, even down in the basement, which was, by the way, totally creepy, but awesome. Pancho Villa used to hide out down there, I'm told. So it was pretty cool. But I definitely could tell that that was not a space. I could go anywhere else I wanted to in the house and on the grounds, but that particular room was off limits to me. And I was okay with that. I understand, if somebody was in my personal space that I didn't know that, yeah, they're family, but they're not family because I'm family by marriage, not by blood. I understand that. So I was cool with that. But it was definitely, a very definite sensation of hands pushing me back, like on my chest, kind of like, no, don't go here. So I did not. And, I would have thought they thought I was crazy, but they didn't. So I'm glad, because often when you express these things or you have these experiences, people look at you like you are off your rocker. So it's so nice to be able to have a forum in which I can share some of the experiences that I've had without, people thinking I'm totally off my rocker. But the other thing that I experience as and I don't know if this has any kind of a specific name. I've just always heard the term clairvoyant used for this as far as perception goes, but I also kind of get a feel when something good or bad has happened in a place. I can walk in and instantly kind of go, oh, something bad happened here, or wow, this is a place of a lot of love. I can sense those sorts of things. But also, I've always had the uncanny ability to know when, well, here's the thing. I smell things. So, like, for example, if someone that is close to me is going, or close to somebody that's close to me, is going to be in an accident or in the hospital or sick or something like that, I will know because I will smell that old-fashioned antiseptic hospital-y smell. Every time I smell that, I get panicked and I start calling people and saying, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And without fail, every time somebody's had some sort of something medical or an accident or an injury of some sort, or they're going into the hospital or they are in the hospital, and whoever hasn't had a chance to call me and tell me. So it's kind of weird how that happens. In terms of under the idea of being psychically sensitive, another thing that I personally experience, which is the best way that I know how to share with you guys. I know this seems like I'm sort of just talking about myself and my own experiences, but this is the best way that I know how to share what I experience under these titles with you. I seem to know when people need to hear from me. And it's kind of weird because it's like I'll log on to Facebook or, I'll be going to work or something like that, and I will know instantly that this person needs to hear from me. And usually what I do in a case like that is I will just send them a message saying, hey, just wanted you to know, I'm thinking of you. You're loved. You got this, whatever I feel they need to know. And sometimes it's just a simple, hey, I love you. You're loved. Just know that. And every time I have done that, people have come to me and said, how did you know? Every single time. How did you know I needed to hear that today? How did you know I needed to hear from you? Or how did you know that I was having a bad day, or something to those effects? One of the weirdest experiences I've had with this was when I worked for the early childhood education program. I had just transferred from the Plano office to the Denton office, and we had a young lady that started working for us that was not a clinical psychologist. She was an LPC, but she was working on the counseling side of working with these families. And we had assessments on Mondays and Wednesdays. And this was a Wednesday. It was weird because she had a 9 o'clock assessment and I did not have an assessment until 11 o'clock. So I went into the office and I turned and I looked at her cubicle and I just had this overwhelming feeling that I needed to tell her that she was loved. So I wrote on a little post-it note, hey, just wanted you to know, just felt that you should know is what I said. Hey, just felt that you should know that you are loved today. And I left it on her desk. And I went to my assessment. And when I came back from my assessment, she walked up to me without saying a word. She just threw her arms around me and started to cry. And she looked at me and she said, how did you know? How did you know I needed to hear from you, that I needed that today? And I just looked at her and said, I just knew. And she said, well, I want you to know that I lost my baby on this day. This is always a hard day for me, but this is the day that I lost my baby. And it really helped me to hear that from you. So, I don't take those things lightly. I knew when my neighbor was pregnant. I knew when she lost her baby, and I knew when she got pregnant again. And I don't know how I know these things. I just do. It's just there in my head, almost like a voice. It's almost like my own voice. Like I hear my own voice saying, hey, this person's this, or hey, this is going on. It's just I kind of know. So it's kind of weird. And when you do things like that, you always have to be cautious because people always kind of get freaked out a little bit by it. But those are some of the experiences I've had with psychic sensitivity or clairvoyance. Clairaudition is not something that I experience. And I'm going to have to take this call. Please excuse me. I am so sorry about that. I hate it when I think I'm getting a call from my business and it ends up being a pre-recorded, hey, we need to let you know that. Every time I block those numbers, they call me from a different number. It does no good to block them. It does no good to press 2 to put on the no call list because they just call you from a different freaking number. Anyway, so that's kind of my experience with that. I do not experience clairaudition. I don't hear things that have happened. I don't consider myself a medium, as in I don't communicate. I have had experiences with spirits. I've seen spirits before, but I'm not one of those people that they just come to me automatically. Sometimes I know something is there, but I can't see it. That's what I would consider, again, psychic sensitivity. It's when you can kind of sense that something is there, but you may not be able to communicate directly with it. So those are some things that I have personally had experience with, and how I distinguish between the various different types of psychic types of things that are out there. One of the things that I was going to do that I did not do, and it just occurred to me, is just a definition of like clairvoyance and clairaudition. In terms of a definition of clairvoyance, it says the supposed faculty of perceiving things or events in the future or beyond normal sensory contact. I'm hearing an alarm outside. I'm thinking my daughter may be here. So in any case, I was spot on. The ability to perceive things beyond what is considered the norm. So if you have any of these or you want to share some of your experiences, I would love to see your feedback. And I hope that this wasn't too rambly of a video. I hope it gave you guys some good information to go on that you didn't get earlier in the week. So thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.